dominant hand, there's kind of this tendency to be pushing up along with twisting it, and so that's going to help to make sure that you don't accidentally push down and have your stop cock fall out. So all you want to do here is let it out, nice and slowly, drop, 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 and give it a little swirl continuously with your dominant hand. Give it a swirl. What you're going to start to see happen is these little flashes of purplish pink. This is a good thing. It's like a split second of the indicator reacting and then immediately turning period. The longer those flashes remain, like up to maybe even a couple of seconds, the closer and closer you know you are to equivalence. All right? So what you really want to aim for is, when you get those really long flashes, is to maybe have there only be like a drop every 1 to 2 seconds, just so that it's super controlled. So the goal here is to have a pale pink solution at the end. It's not easy to do. If by some chance you get a super, super, super deep like neon purple look, it's okay. You've just added a little bit too much base. So if by any chance you can ballpark maybe how much you put in, like, maybe like 5 drops too much or something like that, you can use this standard that a milliliter is about 20 drops of fluid, okay? So if you know that you went maybe 5 too many, okay, you can do the math and figure out maybe how much you can knock off from the volume, the final volume in the direct, okay? It happened to me, and it helped by making a little adjustment when I was doing it. So after you finish that, down the drain, clean it with lots of deionized water, pour it out, get another amount of the oxalic acid. It does not have to be the same amount, it can be a different amount. 40 milliliters of water, 2 drops of indicator, and do it again. And reach equivalence point again, that are known as endpoint, as far as we're concerned. So the goal here is to be within 0.05 molar of your 2 trials, okay? So the calculations to determine your concentration of sodium hydroxide is right down here, within 0.05. Then, once you've established the concentration of your secondary standard, you can then start your next titration. So, to do that, here's the volumetric flask. This has to be, once it's obviously cleaned, as it's been in the beginning, you want to fill it using, eyeballing it, about like a centimeter of distilled water. The reason why they have to have that water in there first is because according to chemistry convention, we always add acid to water, okay? It's a safety mechanism, all right? So a little bit of distilled water, then you can pour in 25 milliliters of hydrochloric acid using your pipette, okay? And then you'll see this little fill line on the neck here. The rest of the way, fill it with distilled water, okay? Cap it, invert it like 5 or 6 times, get it really nicely stirred, and then pour some of it out into a beaker like this. Like that, okay? I made one mistake right there when I told you guys to do that. Do not use the pipette to add hydrochloric acid, okay? I take it all back. use a beaker with 25, or use a graduated cylinder, it's even better, with 25 milliliters to add it here. So, sorry, scratch that. But the same procedure. Once you have a little bit of your solution, your diluted HCl in here, then what you want to do is involve the pipette. So the pipette here can go in the ring stand just how it is right there, with the fat part, this bulb, between the clamp, okay? And here is the bulb that you use to actually draw up fluid, okay? So, this is the fill line, okay? So if I imagine to have, if we're gonna imagine this is acid in here, it might take a couple of tries, but it's no problem because it doesn't matter if it takes a couple of fills to have it happen. So here's the very airy water down here. We take our pipette, plunge it down near the bottom, hold it, get the bulb as empty as you possibly can, And without squeezing it on there, you just want to kind of rest the bulb on the end of the pipette, like that. And you can see you slowly let it out. And you draw up your acid. Now, if you have an event like this is going to be right here, where your bulb fully refills with air before your pipette fills, no problem. Take the bulb off, pinch it with your finger, and you see we're holding it. You can then squeeze the bulb again, cover it, and refill the rest of the way. Even if this takes 3 times, it's okay, because so long as you don't lose your progress, it shouldn't take you too long. So there we go. You can feel free to overfill. Grab it. Here's the fill line, right? So just let out a smidge to get it about perfect. That's pretty good. Just like that. Meniscus right on the line. And then this is going to be going into the flask, right? So just let it go. And it'll drain, and that'll be it. And I'm going to keep talking, but we're going to see at the end something interesting, just that goes back to the fact that this is TD versus TC. Okay? So once you have this in here, you get your 2 drops of indicator, you put it back into the burette, and you, again, just like last time, start your titration. If you need to refill the burette with NaOH, you can do that. It's already been conditioned once, does not need to be conditioned again. And that's it. You do your titration, you reach endpoint, down the drain, clean it, and repeat. Okay? Now, it's kind of hard to see. There's a little bit left in here. That's okay. It's meant to be like that. It's calibrated to dispense 25, not necessarily a whole 25. The last thing I want to say to you guys is, just like how we conditioned the burette, we also conditioned the pipette by just taking a little bit of our acid solution, bringing it up to maybe about here, and then just letting it out. That's all there is to it, okay? So the calculations beyond that are right down here, okay? And just like the other time, make sure that when you're doing your titration, instead of it being a comparison of molarities, it's a comparison here of the amount of titrant that you titrated, okay? Within about 0.1 milliliters of what you have from the last time, okay? These calculations are spelled out in the manual, just like as usual. And if you guys find out that you're having difficulty with the pipette, you're having difficulty controlling the burette really well, please come to me, I will help you. I may even do the pipetting for you, depending on the time of the day. Okay? So I'll be walking around as usual. Stay focused and be patient, and we'll get it all done. All right? Good night, guys.